I would like you to imagine a scene. You can close your eyes if you'd like. You're in a packed arena. Children's laughter and the chatter of giddy adults surrounds you. It's a cacophony. Excitement dances around the room like electricity. The buttery smell of popcorn and roasted peanuts wafts through the air, mingling with various hints of different perfumes. Finally, the lights dim and a hush falls over the audience. A single spotlight announces the opening of the show as the ringleader emerges. Music begins to play, and you feel that spark of childish excitement ignite within you as you watch the performers enter. One by one, two by two, they flip, tumble, juggle, and dance about the ring. The audience cheers as acrobats stack themselves 2 and 3 high. Clowns roam about in bright colors and extravagant costumes. The aerialists up above twirl and contort their bodies on colorful fabrics, metal hoops, and the swinging trapeze, while the tightrope walker dances a precariously beautiful act, high above it all. Sitting in awe at the spectacle before you, your attention starts to narrow to one performer. As you watch, mesmerized by their movements, you focus in on their face, their eyes. Suddenly you feel a jolt in the pit of your stomach, electrifying your whole being, and for an instant, you see your own face replace theirs. Your heart is pounding. As the audience erupts in cheers, hoots, and applause, you are brought back to your place within it. You look down to see and feel your body in your chair, and you're left with only one thought. Why am I here in this chair when I could be flying through the air? I call this moment the waking point.
It could have come while you were listening to a lecture in school. Maybe it was a passage you read in a book, a performance you saw, or a sporting event. It could have been something as simple as a conversation with a friend. Wherever it came from, the waking point is the moment that you realize you're no longer content to be a passive spectator of your life. You're ready to take action. A few years ago, I had my own waking point. For me, however, it came in the form of a breaking point. I was at a low point in my life. I was in between jobs, fresh out of yet another toxic relationship. My sister and her husband were letting me live with them out of charity. And it was in a conversation with my brother-in-law that I realized I no longer wanted to allow this cycle to continue. I felt like my life was in the middle of a tornado. And I knew that if I didn't choose to do something different, the next time around, it would just be worse. I needed to take action. So, why not join the circus? About 4 years ago, I took my very first pole dance class, followed by partner acrobatics and aerial dance shortly after. These past 4 years, for me, have been an incredible journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and introspection. And on that journey, Circus has played a major role. Pole dance helped me to feel powerful, sexy, and strong. Partner acrobatics fulfilled a need in me for positive human interaction and touch. It helped me build confidence and trust in myself and others. The aerial company I worked with taught improvisation and dance. It enabled me to tap into my creative potential and to put my vulnerabilities on display. About 2 years ago, I had a dream that I could help open a circus studio where I could teach, practice, and perform. This past May, that dream became a reality when we were able to open the Bird's Nest Circus Arts, a local studio where anyone can come and take circus arts classes, where we bring the circus together to collaborate. While circus is my passion, today I want to use circus as a metaphor for living the authentic life. Choosing to run away and join the circus can mean choosing to run away from the norms of society, from the expectations others put on us. Choosing to follow your dreams and living for you. So, how do you join the circus? Step 1, you need to heed your waking point. This is the first step on the journey. It begins with introspection. It's that moment that you look down and see yourself sitting in your chair rather than on center stage. There's a disconnect between where you are and where you want to be. But instead of facing it with discouragement, you have hope. There's a positive feeling. You know you're empowered to change, even if you don't know what that's going to look like. Often this step, there's a lot of buildup before it. It takes time. Maybe there's a series of events in your life that bring you to the point where you know you have the power to do something. You saw yourself on that stage. Heeding your waking point means feeling that spark ignite within you and not telling it to be quiet. So step 2, you need to open the door. You decide you want to join the circus. Now you need to sign up for a class. Put yourself out there. You're registered for this class. You're probably scared as hell. All this stuff is new, but you're willing to give it a shot anyway. Maybe in life this looks like picking up that hobby you always wanted to try. Maybe it's finally leaving that relationship that you knew was no good for you. Quitting that dead-end job, even if you don't have a solid backup plan yet, or taking that new job, even though it's scary. This step is intimidating because there's risk involved, and you often don't know what it's going to look like or how it's going to turn out. But it's the first step to liberating your vulnerabilities by choosing not to be held back by fear. So now, you've been training for some time. You're building muscle. You're learning different poses. And you realize circus hurts. But the expression, no pain, no gain, to me, doesn't mean just shut up and bear it. It's about learning to feel the sensations. And to incorporate them into your training. While you're in this growing pains stage of your journey, you're learning to understand what the different feelings and sensations feel like. You're learning to understand how your body interacts with your apparatus. It's about feeling all the sensations, not judging them, but using them to better understand what you need. Melody Fletcher, in her book, Deliberate Receiving, talks about using our emotions as life's feedback system, giving them space in our lives instead of judging them. When we embrace the pain, we're empowered to make changes in our lives. So maybe you took that new job and something doesn't feel 100% right. But instead of quitting and running away, or beating yourself up and accepting it as a consequence of the choice you just made, you dig a little bit deeper. You start to question, what is it that's making me feel unhappy? And what can I do about it? How can I find what I need? So now that you're comfortable in your training, you need to figure out what's going to set you apart on stage. How do you develop your unique persona? Step 4 is about building and embodying your character. It's about learning to champion and showcase your strengths. Lex ATL, a professional pole dancer, teacher, and women's empowerment activist, said, "You are the only you out there," which is obvious, but it gives you the unique opportunity to be the very best you out there. In our culture and with social media, it makes it incredibly easy to judge ourselves, to compare our weaknesses based on someone else's highlight reel. But if we're always holding ourselves up to someone else's standards of approval, we will always fall short. If your goal is to work on dynamic power moves, but you don't quite have the strength yet, instead of judging yourself for not being where you want to be, you find something that you are good at. Maybe you're really flexible. So while you work on your journey, you find moves that highlight your flexibility. You love yourself every step of the way. It's not about just settling and being content with where you are. It's about embracing who you are, finding the things that make you strong, and letting those shine while you develop and work towards the goals that you have. So now you've been training for some time. You decided you want to join the circus way back when. You took those classes. You started to develop your character. Once you learn to love and embrace who your character is, then you can better appreciate the strengths of others. And that's important in the circus, because while a one-man show is incredible on its own, the spectacular of the circus comes when we can collaborate together, when the variety of strengths come together to create the spectacular. But sometimes finding your strengths can be challenging. I think we find our strengths, though, by practicing the previous steps, by listening to your feelings, by putting yourself out there and trying new things. And if it doesn't feel right, you try something else. Step 5. You've developed your character. You're a circus artist now. You're ready to put it on the stage. What's left? You need to bear it all. In certain apparatus, it's important that you physically bear it all in order to be secure. However, as a performer, it's important that you're willing to emotionally bear it all, to dig deep down and connect with your raw, vulnerable self, to put it on display. If I walk out on stage and I do some moves, you might think, those are nice moves. She made nice shapes. But if I can walk out on stage and I connect with my emotion and my passion, and I put it out on display for you, maybe you felt something a little bit different. In life, we're told to build walls. We're told to act appropriate. We don't want to feel that raw messiness of our lives, let alone share it with others. But if we're not willing to connect with our vulnerabilities and live through them, you will always live a staged life. If we can connect with who we are, and we're not afraid to live every day through those feelings, then we have the freedom to really be who we are. And we have so much more power to connect with others. Brené Brown, in her book, Daring Greatly, says vulnerability is the core, the heart, and the center of meaningful human connection. When we can cultivate this fire within ourselves, other people can start to feel that. It bleeds over into every part of our lives. And I think that we cultivate that fire by practicing these steps, by putting yourself out there, by heeding your waking point, by learning to love yourself. And then you can bear it all. And it's scary being vulnerable, because people may not always like it. But it doesn't matter, because I guarantee they'll feel it. So, to follow my dreams, to live authentically, to not be held back by fear, and to take authority for my life. That's the circus I want to join. What about you? What's your circus? Thank you.